the next generation of lifestyle awareness that will transform your life significantly. Hi, welcome to Living Wow Out Loud. I'm your host, CallyRae, founder of the Living Wow Center and author of the book, 8 Lessons Lupus Taught Me from Surviving to Thriving with Autoimmune Diseases. Living Wow is a lifestyle of choice and intention that was born from the truths that, number one, your body is designed to heal if you give it the environment to do so. Number two, you don't need a label or permission to be the expert in your own body. And number three, more than 80% of all diseases can be prevented or reversed by lifestyle. Unfortunately, this isn't what we're taught in our standard American diet and lifestyle culture. This podcast is a voice of hope and community where you will learn how to live a life of thriving that honors and embraces those 3 truths. Though you are an individual, you are not alone, and you can thrive living wow too. Welcome back to Living Wow Out Loud. I'm your host, CallyRae, and today we're going to go to church. So I'm wrapping up. If you're listening in real time, it is November, and November is the month of gratitude, and it is the time where we take a pause and we spend time recognizing. It all started with the harvest, right? We sit around the table and we've worked hard. We planted in the spring, we cultivate all spring and nurture all summer, and then we harvest in the fall. And so this time of year is a time of coming together and a time of gratitude for all that we've been blessed with this year. And as I've entered into November and I was thinking about the podcast and of course thinking about the Living Wow lifestyle, and I've been wrapping up the book and getting things prepared for a 2025 launch. And as all of those things have been culminating, I thought I really wanted to just have a conversation with you today about the things that are on my heart and specifically about gratitude. And I have this scripture that is on my wall, and I look up because that's where my inspirational things are up on my wall in front of me. And I have Philippians chapter 4, verse 8. And that is a scripture that has been a guide and a compass for me. And it really applies to living wow. And so I wanted to share it with you today. I wanted to share with you how I apply it and how it is a foundation for living wow. And of course, living wow is that antithesis of living sad. So whatever you want that acronym to be for you, whether it's words of wisdom, whether it is world of wellness, whether it's mom upside down, I don't care what it is. To me, it encompasses so many things. The word wow is that excitement and that enthusiasm and vitality, something exciting. And that's what our life is supposed to be. And sad is that standard American diet and lifestyle. And it's that struggle, that automaticity, just the grind every day and just doing what everybody else is doing it and doing it because everybody else is doing it. So we're very much in an autopilot, in an automaticity that is countered by living wow. And so today, as we go into this scripture and dissect it a little bit and integrate it into living wow and how we can use these truths to build a lifestyle of intention that puts us in that place of living wow, that is thriving. And that's really what wow symbolizes to me. Wow symbolizes thriving, and sad symbolizes surviving. I just wanted to share this with you. So here is where I want to start. It's Philippians, and this is the New International Version. And it states, "Finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things." I grew up with the King James Version, And so this is the way that verse reads in a more traditional translation of the Bible. Again, Philippians chapter 4, verse 8. Finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any virtue and if there be any praise, think on these things. And then finally, I wanted to share with you the English Standard Version because I think that's a really popular version in a lot of our studies these days. So again, it just takes it and makes it a little bit more understandable in the language that we use every day. Finally, brothers, whatsoever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is commendable, if there is any excellence, if there is anything worthy of praise, think about these things. My favorite version of this particular scripture is the New International Version that I initially read to you. And I don't know, maybe it's because it includes sisters, right? Finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if there is anything excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. I just wonder how much time we spend intentionally seeking after these things. And I know that it is very foundational for me in, like I said, the Living Well lifestyle, to be mindful of that. And as we're thinking about all of the things we're grateful for this year, it's been a hard year in many ways for many people. It's been a celebration for many people. Right? Every year brings its ups and its downs, and some years have more downs than ups. And I don't know where you are. I don't know your journey, but I do know that there is thriving to be found in this wisdom. So today, where are you putting your focus and your energy? Are you being intentional? I've said it a million times. I say it all the time. You can't change something you're not aware of. So we're going to start there. I planted the seed of what we want to be doing, what we want to be seeking after, what we want to be intentional and focused on. Now we're going to take a step back and we're going to have a little reality check because life happens, right? And again, this time of year, as we're solidly in autumn right now and solidly in the holiday season, and as we are preparing, this is a really hard time for a lot of people. It's a really hard time for me. I've had a lot of loss. And so that's what my husband said, why are you calling it autumn? And I said, because I don't fall. I feel like I fall in the fall. And so I just don't like it. And so I'm intentionally changing my words so that I can change my experience. Our thoughts and our beliefs shape our reality. And that's why it's so important to be intentional and embrace anything that is virtuous, lovely, good report, praiseworthy, right? Those are the things that we want to be spending our time and our energy and our intention on. Are you intentional in your lifestyle? And I'm going to bet that there are some areas that you're very intentional with, and there's other areas that you're probably not. And if you're like me, the ones that are intentional are the ones that are screaming the loudest. So if it is my health, or if it is my finances, or if it is a relationship that is in crisis, that's probably where the attention is, or at least that's where it should be, because that's where the noise is. And if that's where the pain is, that's where the noise is. I want you to be really honest with yourself. And are we seeking to make choices that are going to support change and support thriving? Or are we ostrich effect, right? Head in the sand, ignoring it and hoping that it'll go by? Or maybe it's not even head in the sand to ignore it, but I call it when my give-a-damn is busted and I want to crawl in a hole and pull it over the top of me. I just want the world to go away. And that's depression, right? That feeling of hopelessness and depression. And if you're there, again, this time of year, I just know so many people who struggle. And whether it's loss, whether it's broken relationships, whether it's health crises, this time of year can be really difficult. I want this episode to not be a hammer. I don't want it to be something that you feel like I'm coming down on you and saying you're failing and you should feel great. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm wanting to give you some tools that can help carry you through this season. As I think about it, there's so many reasons. There's so much stress around the holidays, and a lot of that is sad. It's put on us, right? If we look at the actual holiday season, like I said, Thanksgiving, it's about harvest and reaping what we have sowed, and relationships and friendships. And that's really the underlying purpose of November. It's not Black Friday and how much can we get into debt for Christmas and everybody's long Christmas list that we feel like we can't fulfill. Again, the economy right now has been really difficult for a lot of people. And so food insecurity and empty pantries are a reality. And if that's you, I hear you and I want to help you. I want you to know that you're not alone and you can thrive despite these circumstances. It's where we're focusing. So I hope that you will take some time and do an assessment with me. If you follow for any length of time, you know that I'm big on seasons because the seasons give us cues as to the rhythm of our days and of our lifestyle. And then the 8 systems. How do we make sure that we're addressing all the aspects of our lifestyle and that we're not out of balance with maybe finances are taking all of the focus, and we're working constantly trying to provide, and as a result, we're not getting our nutrition, we're not getting our movement, we're not getting our mindset, and we're not listening to our spirit. And so we're just out of balance. And then our health fails, right? Our health fails because it's an outward manifestation of what's happening inside. So as we go about this assessment, I want you to be honest with yourself. Grab a piece of paper and a pencil because there's 8 of them. So if you're like me, I can't remember it all. And I want you to in fact, I've got my notes here that I'm going to pull up to make sure that I get all 8 of them and that we address them. So grab a pen and a paper. If you're listening to this while you're moving, walking, driving, whatever, come back to it, pause it, and maybe make note of where this timestamp is on the podcast so that you can take the assessment and be able to see. You can't change something you're not aware of. And I would even take it a little bit further. It needs to be a priority, right? So I've had this crazy pain in my foot that I cannot figure out. And I know it's energetic based, but I can't seem to create the environment to sustain the healing of it. So I'll have some strategies and some supports and it will heal and feel better. And then it'll be gone again. And I tell you that as an example that it's a process. And so going through every single one of the systems, just like in your car, these systems are related to each other. And if something's wrong with the battery, you're not going to get where you're going. Or if you have a flat tire, again, you're not going to get where you're going. And it's a completely different physical manifestation. It's a completely different system of the body, but it's going to affect the journey. Please bear with me and let's get into assessing all 8 of the systems so that you can figure out where are you. And then at the end, I'm going to give you some tips and some tricks and some ways to make sure that we're filling it so full of the good that there's no room for the bad. There's your spoiler alert. That's the ultimate goal today, is to have so much good going in, all 8 systems, that there's just no room for the enemy. There's no room for our sad, okay? So here we go. I guess one other thing I want to say as we get started is resist the urge to give the right answer. I know we're so trained with tests and assessments and all those kinds of things that we think of what's the right answer. And at least I do. I automatically want to give the answer that I think I'm supposed to give rather than the real answer, the answer that's true to my lifestyle. Okay, so you don't have to share this with anyone. This is between you and you yourself and what is it? Me, myself, and I. So you, yourself, and you. You, yourself, and your creator, obviously, or honestly. Okay, 0. You're going to score, this is a Likert scale. So 0 is that it's not even on your radar. You're not giving it any time. You're 100% on autopilot. Maybe just don't even have awareness of this system. And then 10 is that you are dialed in. You know exactly what you want, exactly what you need. You're very intentional and you have systems or rhythms that you are doing it. Okay, so 10 is a mastery and 0 is no awareness. And you're going to be somewhere in the middle, and some are going to be high and some are going to be low. So again, there is no right answer. There's your answer because we can't change something we're not aware of. All right. So number 1, the first system is energy. Do you have enough energy to be able to run full out? Do you have the energy to live the life you want to live? How is your energy? Think about your energy. That's your mood. That's how you're feeling on a day. Are you feeling run down, tired? Are you cranky? Are you joyful and happy? And we're talking about the majority of the time, right? As you do this assessment, I'm going to say, think back to the last 7 days and what's the average in the last 7 days. This time of year, as I do a lot of assessments and planning for the upcoming year, because end of fourth quarter, right now we're solidly in the middle of fourth quarter. And so what have we accomplished and what are we wanting to do better? So again, really good time for assessment. For this, think about the last 7 days, but you can also apply it to the last quarter, the last 3 months, or the whole year. Whatever works for you. But again, there's no right answer, it's your answer. But just to give kind of a guideline, I think it's really good to look at the last 7 days because you can be more honest. You'll be able to remember 7 days more than the last year. The second system of the body is food and water. What kind of fuel are you putting in your body? Are you intentional about your food? Have you been healing your gut? Do you have food sensitivities that you are working around? Are you doing particular diet meaning the food that you take in, not necessarily a fad diet? What kinds of foods are you eating? Are they nourishing? Are they healing? Do they affect your mood? Absolutely. So are you eating foods that are helping that energy and helping that mood? Or are you just grab and go, chug and chuck, eating it because it's convenient? Again, I don't want you to feel like there's any judgment or criticism in any of this assessment because we've all been everywhere on the scale. So it's really about where are you right now on this scale? How is your food? Do you know what your superfoods are? Do you know what your personal poisons are? And are you eating according to that? Are you nourishing or are you just eating? The third area of lifestyle is self-care and movement. So where are you at with your movement? Where are you at with taking time for yourself? Are you doing self-care? Do you have a self-care routine or do you leave it for, are you the last one to get the attention? Are you the last one to get the time? Are you the last one because you're the mom? So many of us lived that way for so long. So are you moving your body? How are you moving your body? Are you doing things that you like to do? Do you have the physical capacity that you want to have? Are you carving out time to move the way you want to, knowing that's going to be more true to you? It hurts to move your body when you have many autoimmune diseases. A lot of them have pain as a symptom. So as you're trying to figure out how to thrive with them, I know when I started, that was the very first thing, that was the catalyst to my journey, was that my pain disappeared with nutrition. And I was like, whoa, now I can move my body. Now I have energy, right? So it all goes together, but you still have to measure it and go, okay, be honest. Are you moving your body? How often are you moving your body? How are you moving your body? Are you caring for it? Are you taking time out to meditate and just be still? Again, that's hard for me. I am on. And so turning off and calming down and shutting down, I've learned to embrace and I've learned the value of, but it's not natural for me. It's not my nature. Where are you at? Where are you at with your movement and your self-care? Are you at the top or are you at the bottom? Okay. All right. Number 4 is the supplements. Should change. They're a supplement, right? It's not set it and forget it. Supplements are the things that you eat or you use to supplement your nutrition, your exercise, your self-care. Supplements change. They change by season. They change by season of your life, your age. We need different supplements as we get older because our bodies don't metabolize the same way. We need different supplements when we're younger because our bodies are in a rapid growth and recovery mode. Where are you at? What autoimmune diseases do you have? Autoimmune diseases can affect the way you metabolize foods and minerals and whether or not you hold toxins or you're able to release them. All of those kinds of things impact which supplements your body needs. You can figure that out by your blood work. You can figure that out by your lifestyle. As you become the expert in your body, as you become more and more attuned to living wow, you'll start to understand and know where those deficits are in our food supply or where this season of your life you need a little bit more support so that you can then bring in those supplements, okay? Your supplements are just optimizing your fuel, optimizing your movement, and optimizing your health. Ultimately, do you have any awareness of your supplements? Are you taking the same multivitamin that you've been taking for the last 20 years? Are you taking a lot of prescription medications? Because prescriptions definitely impact the way our bodies metabolize and use different nutrients. So understanding that and knowing that, okay? 0 to 10. 0 is you don't do any supplementation. You have no awareness of the need. And then 10 would be that you are dialed in and that it is optimally supporting what you are eating, how you are moving, the season of your life, the season of the year, all of those kinds of things. Number 5, mind and intelligence. This is my favorite one right now because I am up to here, way in over my head with new learning. I've been in lots of classes and education for the last couple of months and really finally starting to make some progress on some goals that I've had for a very long time. And so right now I'm going to say my learning is at a 10. I still have a lot to learn, but I'm very active and I'm very intentional and I'm just taking in a lot. I'm emptying my cup, I'm filling my cup, I'm emptying my cup, I'm filling my cup. It's just this process that is so exciting, but exhausting. So where are you at with your mind and your intelligence? Are you releasing the negative beliefs, the fear? For me, it was fear and scarcity. Fear and scarcity have kept me limited for so long and really were the underpinnings of my autoimmune crisis. Our mind, our intelligence, remember that it's just the driver, right? If we go back to the analogy, it's just the driver. It's just taking you where you go. It's not the navigator. Its whole purpose of your mind is to get you through this life safely. And so it's picking up on everything that's negative, that could be a threat, that might interrupt you. And it's putting it right there. That's how we're wired. And so we're almost fear-seeking. That's why the media is so effective, because they can put out these little sound bites or these little clips, the clickbait, they can put that out there and we just automatically see that. Is that what your mind is seeing? Or again, are you intentionally learning, intentionally focusing on something that is positive, that is uplifting, that is expanding your life skills, your belief systems? Open-minded, right? Open-minded means that you are open to learning. And I'm going to say that if you are here, you are, because People who are not open-minded are sad, and they're not listening. They're not trying to hear a better way. They don't believe that it's possible to thrive with autoimmune diseases. They don't believe that they can be the expert in their body. They believe that they have this diagnosis, and the only way to live with it is through the litany of medications and trial therapies and all of that. If you are here and you've made it this far in the podcast, my hunch is you are open-minded and you are learning, and you're probably higher on that end of the scale, that 0 to 10, because you're here. You're trying to open your mind and use your intelligence, your God-given gift to be able to live your best life. Have that mind recognizing that truth, not the fear, right? Again, since we're in church today, recognizing that mind and spirit connection rather than being in that fear and enemy connection. Okay. Number 6 is your spirit. Mind and the spirit work very closely together because the mind is our driver and goes where the spirit tells it to go. The problem is the spirit is very quiet. The spirit is our voice of truth. And that is our navigation system. That's our personal spirit, and it connects with the creative spirit. It connects with God. It connects with the Holy Spirit. And so it's that connection, it's that relationship that guides us through this journey. Who were you born to be? Clearly, I have a Christian background and faith, and Living Wow has only made that stronger. And the reason is because I realize that my spirit is eternal and it's connected to God. So it's not about your faith. It's not about your religion. It's not about where you choose to go worship. Whether you choose to go worship, right? This applies whether you are in a chapel, a temple, a mosque, a synagogue. It doesn't matter. This is about your spirit that we all are born with. It's eternal. And some people will call it your intuition. Maybe you're more comfortable with that terminology rather than your spirit. But it's undeniable. And a connection that I've realized as I have gone through my various transformations and growth as I have gotten older and as I have established this framework, you cannot deny that spirit because it's who you were born to be. And when we align and listen for those truths, that dis-ease goes away. That's where healing is. That healing starts at that foundation. So it's about a relationship, not a religion, okay? It's about understanding your divinity and your nature. You have a divine nature that is undeniable. And so when you have that, it gives you a little invincibility, right? Because with God, all things are possible. And we have God. So therefore, we know that is true. And again, it's not about the religion that you practice or the faith that you profess, but it's about your relationship, your spirit, understanding your spirit, and recognizing who you were born to be. You matter. You are important. So where are you at on that scale of 0 to 10? Do you feel lost and broken and unforgiven, unsavable, unworthy? Unworthy is huge. And again, been there. And that brokenness is deep. And when you recognize that brokenness starts at that very most innermost deep spiritual level, that's when the healing can start. When you make that connection and recognize that you do matter. You are worthy just because you are you and because God created you for a purpose. And you might not even know that purpose. I know it took me a really long time. I feel like I just finally figured out my true purpose this year, and I'm 55. And that doesn't mean I've been lost for 55 years. I've had direction, but that I knew who I was born to be, But to be able to truly put that purpose and passion into words was a long time coming. So if you don't feel like you have your purpose and you don't know who you were born to be, think back to when you were a child, before the world told you who to be, before you were told what you were supposed to be when you grew up, how you were supposed to behave, how you were supposed to feel, how you were supposed to react. Okay, that's all sad. That's all what the world is telling us. That's all the enemy. Go inside, and what has your creator, what has God told you? What is that self-worth? So where are you at on that scale? 0 to 10. Number 7. We are already to number 7. Number 7 is your autoimmune conditions. And if you don't have any autoimmune conditions, Living Wow was created out of my journey from surviving to thriving with autoimmune diseases because I was told I couldn't. And because I was told that this is what my life was going to look like by the standard American, by our medical system, by everyone, honestly, let's be real. The internet, the experts, the lay people, family, friends, everybody, we all have a perception of what lupus looks like, what rheumatoid arthritis looks like. Oral complaints, not very many people know about, so nobody had a perception about that. They all say, what's that? But I definitely came into this process because I had already had healing with my rheumatoid arthritis. When I got my lupus diagnosis, I had a different belief system and I had a different toolbox. And so I just said, no, thank you to the traditional allopathic healthcare, to Western medicine, specifically to the medications. And I took this approach. And it took me years to actually coin the term Living Wow and to actually put it into a structure that now you can utilize and replicate based on this framework, right? This assessment that we're doing. It took me years, decade, to actually come to figure out and understand truly the complexities and intricacies of our lifestyle and how much of it is just we're born with it. It literally is generational beliefs. It's generational energy. And so learning to understand how to change that. So the autoimmune disease symptoms, what I call the indicator lights, they're number 7 in the framework. But what's happened as Living Wow has become a thing and more people are understanding and embracing and following it, I hear all the time that it's not just for people who have autoimmune diseases. And so as it expands, and it's not just about thriving with autoimmune diseases, it's about thriving in life. And so number 7, even though it's the indicator lights and it's your autoimmune diseases in the true framework of Living Wow, based on our historical underpinnings and where Living Wow came from, now it's really just what are your symptoms, right? What's your body telling you? Again, in our autoimmune diseases, I can really tell, now that I'm the expert in my body and not a doctor, I can tell if I'm having a lupus flare or if I'm having a rheumatoid arthritis flare or if I'm having an oral lichen planus flare. And fortunately, I don't have any major big ones very often anymore, but they do still sometimes. A couple months ago, I was down with my lupus, and it was the first time I'd been down like that for a couple of years, several years. Anyway, a couple of months ago, I did have a significant flare, and it was caused due to emotional stress that caught me off guard, and I didn't have everything dialed in. I thought I did, but that's the whole beauty of our lifestyle, and that's the beauty of becoming the expert in our body is when these indicator lights go off, which are the symptoms. So when the fatigue hits, when for me, it's pain and fatigue and skin lesions. Those are the big trifecta that tell me that something is off internally. Something is off with my energy. Something is off with my nutrition. Something is off with my mindset. Something's off with my spirit. So that's where I can bring things into correction. Don't get hung up if you don't have an autoimmune disease, although I think most of the people who are listening to the podcast still do. But if someone has shared this with you just because they feel like it's valuable and you're like, I don't have an autoimmune disease, so number 7 doesn't apply to me. Yes, it does. What symptoms have you had? Do you have any achy joints? Are you stiff? Are you having digestive issues? Do you have food sensitivities that you haven't really given any attention to? Number 7 are the symptoms of whatever's wrong. What are the things that are talking to you, that are yelling at you? Is your skin broke out? Do you have a rash? Are you gaining weight? Are you losing weight? All of those would be examples of number 7, your symptoms or your AI conditions, your indicator lights. And then finally is number 8. And number 8 is our environment. And that is the driving conditions for our journey. And some of those things you can control and some of them you cannot. And so being able to recognize what can you control and doing so, again, this scripture or taking this perspective of so much of the good, there's no room for the bad, right? In our world, we go to work. Our families, our kids go to school. Even if we're immersing ourselves in, I have some friends whose kids go to faith-based schools. And so they feel like they're in a cocoon. But the reality is that they're not. And the families, the lifestyles, the world, all of those things impact us all the time. And so we can choose where we go. We can choose who we spend our time with. We can choose how we react in those settings. But the things that we can't control, who's the president, who's not the president, what's the weather? Right now, for me, short days and cold weather, I don't like it. But I guess I could move to an environment where I would have longer days and warmer days, but it's a trade-off. So again, there's things that you can and can't control. And so where are you at in the awareness of your environment? This is really important because one of the underlying principles of Living Wow is that you are the expert in your body and that your body is designed to heal if you give it the environment to do. So what is that environment and how are you doing in creating that environment? 0 to 10, right? Those are really important. The things you can't control, let it go. And the things you can, that's where you really want to focus. All right. So those are the 8 systems and the assessment of 0 to 10. And so then anything that you have that is on the lower side of that scale, right? If it is anything that is below a 5, especially if it's 4 or less, that's where you're going to want to spend some time and some intentionality. That's where you're going to want to try and find those things that are virtuous, lovely, of good report, or praiseworthy. Those are the things that you want to seek after. You want to spend some time. Now you've identified, maybe it's food, maybe it's supplements, maybe it's your spirit, maybe it's your environment. And so you can go about planning and thinking about how are you going to support those. And we have lots of different podcasts. Next podcast will be number 60 and will be the final one of this season. But you can listen to any of them that give you specific tips and hacks and tricks and words of wisdom for each of the different areas. Today is really about the whole lifestyle and the whole assessment. So don't let that overwhelm you. Now you can look at it and you can go, okay, I've got some that are 5, 6, 7, maybe even a couple of 10s. And then you've got some 3s or 4s, maybe even 2s or 0s, right? Those are the ones where you want to just take some extra time to be intentional and learn a little bit more, empower yourself with tools, and be able to do that. So I want to leave you with this again in Philippians chapter 4. If you're needing some good, you're needing some words of wisdom that are uplifting and encouraging, I would encourage you to read the whole chapter 4 of Philippians. Philippians chapter 4. It's a great chapter. So we started with 8, which is, finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable. If there is anything, this is my favorite part, if there is anything excellent or praiseworthy, don't strive for perfection. Perfection's not attainable. It's just frustrating. That's where that I'm not worthy, self-doubt, self-deprecation, that all breeds out of there. That's the enemy telling you you're not good enough. Baloney. We're looking for things that are excellent and praiseworthy. Think about such things. Think about them. You've got to think about them before you're going to be able to act on them. And then I want to leave with verse 12. And again, I'm using the New International Version. I know what it is to be in need, and I know what it is to have plenty. I have learned the secret of being content in every and any situation, whether well-fed or hungry, whether living in plenty or in want. I can do all this through Him who gives me strength. So as we are in this month of gratitude, I just am going to encourage you to fill your lifestyle so full of the good, the things that are excellent, the things that are praiseworthy. If that's what you're focused on, if that's where you're spending your time and your intention, that contentment, that joy, that peace, that's where that's found. And that gratitude for all that we have, even if it's not as much as we wish we had or as much as we really want to have, there's a contentment that breeds that peace. And again, I can do all this through Him who gives me strength. So I want to leave those thoughts with you and a prayer that you will find that peace and that intention this season, that if this is a hard season for you, as it is for me, that we can redefine it. And that instead of it being a fall and a dark winter, we can find the light and we can embrace autumn and gratitude. My prayer is that you can just be able to use this assessment as a tool and find those areas that you're thriving in and celebrate that, and then find those areas that are weighing you down and maybe limiting you from thriving in every way that you are capable of. I want you to remember your divinity, your value, your self-worth. You matter. And I am so grateful for you because this community gives me purpose. It gives me purpose to stand up and speak out and not be afraid of the truth, not be afraid of living my true identity and purpose. We are going to be wrapping up this season, and I am going to be, again, true to my living wow. Part of that is being able to take time out and to cultivate those roots and go deep for the winter. One of the things that I am committing to do differently this year is I'm going to do one more episode. It will actually air on Thanksgiving Day if you're listening in real time. And if not, again, no worries. This information is valuable at any time. And if you are regularly following, and so every time, every Thursday when a podcast drops, you're there and you're listening, thank you. I love you. And that's so awesome. I'm going to sign off next week for the winter and take that time to pause, because that's what winter's about. And then we'll be back in the spring. But there's plenty of content for you to use to support while you are nurturing through your winter season as well. Until next time, shine on. Hey, if you find value here on the Living Wow Out Loud podcast, will you please share it with your friends and take a minute to rate it on the platform that you're listening on? That's how we live wow out loud. You know that more people need hope and they need the messages shared. And that's how we get recognized among all the noise. This is where you find your voice. Will you please share and subscribe and rate so that we can grow?